this is going to be relevant. So, not trying to invade this person's space, but obviously what he's doing, this is vagrancy. And the reason why I wanted to show everybody that is because I'm on my way. Let's just check. I think we got a TRD Pro right here, and I am partial to the massive horsepower pickup trucks. I'm on my way back over to the Wolcott Hotel, where a lot of people saw yesterday. I need to thank Clint Russell for, yeah, that's the Toyota answer to the Raptor. Not as good, but still worth a mention. A lot of people saw the video yesterday. I want to thank Clint. I do not know Clint, but that was classy and nice of him to retweet the video. And also, I thought I had a video of Clint here. Well, anyway, people saw yesterday a video of mine went somewhat viral, and this was me approaching this Wolcott Hotel on 31st Street, where we've got a bunch of Army people and also this U.S. Marine hanging out outside. Now, viewers, Crowdsource the Truth viewers, have told me that these two individuals are engaged in I don't know what the technical term is, I guess a uniform violation or something like that, because they're not covered. No hat. I'm covered today. I didn't know what that meant yesterday, but see, this is crowdsourcing because I don't know anything about the military, but then knowledgeable military people aren't here necessarily on the ground in New York going around popping into hotels and asking them, you know, WTF. So we're starting to figure out some stuff because, again, my first thought when I saw that was, oh, this must be yet another hotel converted to migrant, you know, asylum housing. And then, but the whole place was filled up with Army, and I didn't see any kind of bicycle parking lot and the type of stuff that we usually see with these migrant facilities. You cannot back up in a crosswalk on a street in New York City. What the hell is the matter with you? You don't back up, asshole! You two are idiots. These guys are gonna kill somebody. Listen, don't come to New York City if you don't know what you're doing, okay? It's not for kids, it's not for riding bicycles on the sidewalk, it's dangerous. You gotta be careful, you gotta respect other people. But let's talk about the military and the Posse Comitatus Act, because I'm not a lawyer, but we have lawyers out there, and they all seem to agree with me that this is, at least on its face, a question about the Posse Comitatus Act, which is a law that's intended to prevent the use of the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, and Space Force from being used, you know, as local law enforcement. You can't just do that. The Coast Guard, we learned, is exempt from this because as part of their mission, they have a civilian law enforcement mission. I don't think I like that, having these sort of like hybrid military and law enforcement entities, because it creates this gray area. Why don't we have like a maritime division of the local police or some federal maritime civilian police thing just to deal with stuff in the water? And then let the Navy do whatever. Like, why does the Coast Guard, why do you need the Coast Guard, and maybe just make the whole Coast Guard a civilian thing? Like, why do you need the Navy and the Coast Guard? Doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I don't even know why you need the Air Force. Why not just give the Army planes and have like the Navy and the Army? I don't know. Maybe military people know more than me. But the point is, this is not a straight deal. Like, in other words, if a meteor hit and everyone's like, oh, half the cops are dead and the city is on fire, we have an emergency, let's get the Army. I think that's one thing. Okay, then somewhere on this spectrum we have a novel, incredibly scary disease. I think we're getting into gray area because somebody has determined that, and then now years later maybe there's a different consideration. But then we further down this spectrum we have, you know, leaving the front door open long enough that criminals come in and then saying, oh my God, we have an emergency, we need the military here. I don't agree that this is an emergency. So again, I'm not an attorney, but there's language around this Posse Comitatus Act. You know, there's exceptions to when the military can be used. And the governor has a lot of latitude, I think, in terms of, you know, she could say, hey, I have emergency powers from COVID or migrant crisis or, I don't know, what are they, monkeypox or whatever their bird flu. They have all kinds of different things that they can decide are emergencies, and then they grant themselves emergency powers. Now, so, but the other thing is Clint, yeah, here's Clint. This was really super classy of Clint because what he did was I guess he or someone was watching my full video, which was over an hour long, and then he clipped this segment, but look at how he did it. This is classy. Instead of editing out my logo and claiming this as his own and getting all the clicks, first of all, congratulations on 500,000 clicks on that, and he deserves it because what he did was super classy. He took my thing, or somebody did, and put on TikTok, which I'm not even on TikTok, so that's good, A. B, put my name on there, so even if you don't know Crowdsource the Truth, you could search for me, Jason Goodman, and you'll find me. So huge thank you, Clint. That was a super polite way to do that. I really appreciate it. Thank you. If I ever meet Clint, I will say hello, buy you a beer, coffee, I don't know if you drink, whatever. But I do appreciate that. And it's such a nice departure. See, like, okay, so here is another hotel. This is a known migrant residential whatever, and they have the motorcycle gang parking lot out here. It's come under control somewhat from the height of this insanity. You know, we don't have like thousands. Well, there was never thousands. We don't have hundreds. And look, they have license plates now. So there's some progress being made, I guess. But still, do we know, any of these people, I'm more worried about them having insurance so that when they crash into you, yeah, see, here are the cops. So who the hell knows what is going on inside all these hotels? It got a D for energy. Huh. Turo guests, please enter. See, now we live in a world where you have to speak Spanish to understand what's going on. So anyway, Clint found the video. He tweeted that. A lot of people started seeing it. And then I think what also happened kind of simultaneously there, you know, Laura had seen it, right? So Laura Loomer put it out. That was very good. Everybody knows Laura, and she's got millions of people looking at her stuff. But actually, Laura put out something else. Laura said she's got it where they're putting the Army into hotels down by the courthouse. Now, this is Oren Levi. He
Not the big
is Viral News
ones,
NYC.
The family-owned and individually owned ones. Don't go to Domino's
This is the first
Pizza.
time he approached me in New York.
Don't go to Olive Garden.
Let's listen to this for a
Don't
second.
go to those big, giant corporate chains. Use your local restaurants and try and help those small businesses stay around. I mean, I've seen a lot of people who aren't 6 feet apart. I'm not criticizing that. I'm just observing it.
This is from
Monty's
2020.
Trattoria. When
Right
life
during the
comes back
beginning
to
of the
normal,
pandemic.
if people
Watch
choose to
this.
visit New York City, I highly recommend this restaurant. Absolutely delicious. run by a wonderful family, and the sign says they're closed. What?
Look at him in the window,
What's up
rolling
with
up
you?
on me.
You're a guy on YouTube, right?
Correct, yes.
Hospitals are still not packed?
What's that?
Hospitals are still not packed?
Hospitals are not packed that I've observed.
Really?
Yeah, I was just over at the Northwell Health over there on, 6th Ave. A lot of ambulances parked there. Have you been kept awake by ambulances at night?
I have. I live on Ocean Parkway in Brooklyn. Ambulances going back and forth all night long.
Yeah?
Yeah, I have friends that work in the ER room and they're like, listen, it's pretty bad inside.
He's a total liar. I mean, I didn't show the whole clip. People can see that if you're following me on X. I have that posted on X. If you're not following, you can do that at JG_CSTT. Thanks to all the people who started following yesterday after seeing the video. We're gonna go check out the Walcott again, but I'm on the other side of the Stewart Hotel, which is where we just saw those motorcycles. And I don't know if this is new, but perhaps what's happening is we've got city bikes. So now, if you're a migrant and you're given a free credit card from Eric Adams, remember we did that video with Bob Bishop where he found that guy, what was that guy's name? Amuse or something? He had a weird name. I forget that guy's name, but the guy who ran that SoFi, it was somehow down with SoFi, some kind of, I don't remember what the deal was. We got to go back and look at that. I Love You, Eric Adams with Bob Bishop. But Bob found out that this guy who started the company was like buddies with Eric Adams, and there was all these millions and millions and millions of dollars being paid to this company to just give out money to people to come and, you know, use these bicycles. So, I mean, if you're a migrant, you have a free credit card, you start a city bike account and just ride this on the sidewalk all day. That sort of appears to be the thing that's happening. Okay, so we got migrants in this hotel. And keep in mind, tourism is a major industry in New York City. A lot of people have been telling me they've been trying to book hotels and the prices are super high because lower cost hotels are being filled up by illegal migrants who we are paying to have here. Now, additionally, taxpayers, even outside of New York City, your money also goes to pay for things like the Army. So you're not just paying for criminals and losers to come and pollute the city with crime and craziness. We're paying those Army guys. And we're paying that hotel. So here's the thing. We know that Eric Adams loves to buy robots for the subway that don't work from companies that are owned by people who are very probably kicking back money to him. We know that Eric Adams is an absolute idiot and that the city has only deteriorated under his rule. So something interesting that I found out, because we were looking at, well, people saw that video, right? And I meant to get a screen capture of this, but I went and did a blow up of the Army people who were inside there. First of all, one of them we could tell was a Marine. And I mean, we didn't see any migrants in there. So again, my first thought was that, oh, this is a migrant shelter. Oh, right, so Orrin Levi. This is what I wanted to say. So he knows Eric Adams. Here he is in a meeting. He was Leroy Press. Now he's Viral News NYC. But there's D-Money, Desmond Marrero, Hawk Newsom, who was recently arrested for assault, and there's Eric Adams. So what is he doing? Meeting with Black Lives Matter, radicals, and Orrin Levi. What is he doing in there? Remember, Orrin Levi, he told me he's a Mossad operative agent, something like that. Him and his brother have both told me that. Could be false, but why would you tell me something like that if it was false? And I've done other videos where we've seen Orrin Levi wearing the NYPD undercover color of the day. And he's always protected by the cops. He's always assaulting me right in front of the cops, trying to get me to hit him or lunge at him. There's a lot of things that you can do in New York City that are technically assault. And I don't know if people watched my last encounter with Oren Levi, but knowing the law is very good. I exercised this a bit with those stupid Australian, Swedish idiots on the High Line. And whatever that midget guy who was lunging at me with his girlfriend or daughter or whoever that was. If you lunge at someone in New York City, that's assault, okay? When you're in an altercation with someone, New York is a castle doctrine state. Unlike Florida and Texas, which are stand your ground states, if someone lunges at you in Texas with a fist, I believe you can shoot them, and if they die, it's considered self-defense and you're good to go. Obviously, there's nuance and details. I'm not a lawyer, I'm not giving anybody advice about how to shoot people. I'm just saying, in New York City, someone could be pounding on you, and if you hit them back, it's not self-defense, it's assault. Look, CBD soda, Breckenridge Hemp Company. So, I mean, this can't be legal because they said all the weed has to come from New York. This is probably $20 for a soda. Oh, it's closed, yeah. Oh wait, licensed. But I don't understand, how can it be Breckenridge, Colorado, temporary retail permit? Oh, they just got it. So something's happening with the weed deal in New York. This is new, I guess. But see, that's the other thing. Eric Adams had that whole party the other day where he burned up all the weed or whatever, and he'd taken a bag and smelling it. The guy is such an idiot. I actually read into this a bit, and it makes sense, because what they're saying is the weed has to come from New York because it's not legal federally. So if you grow it in California and mail it to New York, you're breaking the law. That makes sense, I get it. So let's look at this Hotel Walcott for a second. Here it is. You know, this is one of these things that at some point, this was probably, you know, the fanciest building around, all this ornate Mason work. Oh, wait a minute. Is this some kind of Freemason building? I wonder. It did have a lot of weird faces carved into it and stuff like that. Let's go observe and see what we can see. Because the thing that's interesting is that FJC Security company, what the hell is that doing there? Like, if there are political refugees, okay, let's for a second explore the whole, this is legitimate possibility. If we've got, you know, political refugees or people doing whatever, oh wait, is that the hotel? Where is the entrance? No, mate, that's not it. It's on 31st. It looks like that. There's a lot of these ornate, maybe that's it. Okay, there it is, down the street. So this is maybe pretty contemporary because see, look at all the ironwork and the stonework there. You don't really, buildings aren't really constructed like this anymore. That kind of elaborate, like, I don't even know. That's got to be Masons doing that, right? But if you are a Mason stoneworker, are you inherently a Freemason, you know, lodge-going type? Can't be. There's got to be people who are working in brick and stone who aren't in that. But anyway, the FJC company, it's owned by this dude, Frank Castellano, and he used to be a cop. So isn't that interesting? And they have offices in at LaGuardia Airport, Kennedy Airport, Newark, probably Newark Airport, Houston, San Antonio, Fort Worth, Fairfax, Virginia. Sounds very kind of like port-oriented, very shipping stuff-oriented, very, I don't know, kind of police, mafia, deep state adjacent to me. Nothing to do with the guy being Italian. Some of my best friends in the world are Italian and the most honest people I know. It's got to do with him being a fucking cop, like Eric Adams. And sorry to the legitimate police officers who get upset when I criticize NYPD or other corrupt, incompetent, costumed losers. But I don't merely back blue. I don't back losers in blue costumes who break the law. I back law enforcement. So I hope that there it is, Hotel Walcott. I hope that the honorable veterans and law enforcement people who do watch Crowdsource the Truth, I don't want anyone to misconstrue what I am saying. There are some officers, you know what, in the last year, I can recall one NYPD officer I interacted with who was quite professional, and that was that young guy, that young black guy in the Bronx. He looked like he was in his early 20s. What do you think of the Hotel Walcott?
No, I'm reading the book.
You're reading what? The parking? Yeah, you probably get a ticket if you park here. Oh, it's Saturday. No, you won't. So here's the hotel. Now it appears closed. So what do we got outside here? Little cherubs, right? Who are these guys? There's something to this style of building, like this archway, that is Masonic. That looks like, you know, Jeffrey Epstein Island style archways above his building. And here, there's more stuff up there. So we've got people who tell me they're Israeli Mossad hanging out with Black Lives Matter and Eric Adams. That Oren Levi douche was also hanging out. Remember when I was at that RFK Jr. event at the Glass House, where he was hanging out with Shmuley, the despicable scumbag, and Levi was there with the cops, almost like doing security. And that was a pretty Israeli-oriented event, because remember, it was that RFK had been accused of being anti-Semitic for saying something at a restaurant, and so he had to get down with Shmuley to prove that he's not. So we have a little bit of a motorcycle gang presence here. Let's see if we can talk to somebody inside this hotel. No trespassing. Trespassers will be prosecuted. Hi there. I'd like to speak to the commanding officer of the Army in this facility. Where is that person? I want to speak to the commanding officer from the military in this hotel. I think everyone here, they were here the other day, Benny. You are all in violation of the law.
You are in violation of the law. You cannot record.
Why don't you call the police right now, and we're going to talk to them about the Posse Comitatus Act. Do you work for FJC? Do you work for FJC? You can't put the Army into New York City. Do you work for FJC? Do you work for FJC?
You cannot record. You're violating my rights.
You are violating the law. Yeah, we knew they would do that. So if my video report and the viralness of that going out got the Army out of here, I don't believe that. They can't do that in a day. What is going on here at this hotel? What's going on in New York City? Okay? So what's going to happen now is George's fucking asshole, mentally ill, wife-swapping paperclip Nazi brother can now go contact that hotel. And let's get Frank Castellano to try to charge me with trespassing, and then we're going to get into court and we're going to talk about the Posse Comitatus Act. And we're going to talk about George's brother being an insane stalker. Hopefully get him put in jail. So something is happening over there. I suspect it's a crooked deal between Eric Adams and Frank Castellano and his son. Because it seems like those guys have a long reputation of starting companies that get city contracts, and then they sell those companies to larger companies, and they make a lot of money. But the truth is, whatever is going on in that hotel shouldn't be happening in the first place. So all of the millions and millions of taxpayer dollars that are going to these crooked criminals who started out as crooked, fucked up NYPD officers, they're stealing our money. And they're making the city much less safe. Look, this sushi kaiten place finally opened. That would make this the only kaiten. This is going to fail. I'm sorry. There has never been an all-you-can-eat sushi restaurant in New York City that has succeeded. And I like kaiten sushi, but it has never worked in New York City. For people who don't know, kaiten sushi is when you sit there at the counter and they have a big conveyor belt. I think that's it. We can see it from here. And the sushi comes by on that conveyor belt, and then you just take what you want, and all these different plates, they have different color plates, and that is, we'll come over and give you the bill based on the plates at the end. And I did a movie in Korea one time. There's a lot of cultural differences when you go to Asia. So we wrapped one day, and the one person who was my translator who could speak English came over and said, okay, we're off for the next 3 days. And I was like, what are you talking about? And he said, yeah, it's the biggest holiday in Korea. Everything will be closed and everyone goes and has dinner with their family. It's kind of like Thanksgiving. And I said, well, wait a minute. If everything is closed, what am I going to do? He said, I don't know. So I went to Japan for 3 days and had nothing to do. So I was just rolling around eating kaiten sushi and checking out whatever I could find in Japan. And apparently Japanese people are impressed when you can eat a lot, because basically they couldn't stop pointing at me and saying things in Japanese. But, you know, the cops, and again, here's a guy taking a piss. That's somebody the cops should talk to, but of course they won't. So, I mean, legitimate law enforcement officers who see my reports and get angry at the way that I talk to the police or whatever, they're not doing anything. They don't deserve to be granted lucrative contracts for companies that they start. And I mean, that's what I see all these police officers doing. I mentioned yesterday on the sponsor exclusive show with John Cullen that the same judge, what is her name? Jessica G.L. Clark. This woman's 39 or 40, immature and lacking judgment, not only as a jurist, but as a human. George's brother sent a letter to the attorney for the city referencing me as an effing Jew, but he didn't redact the word. And he's not even in the case. I wrote to the judge saying, you got to admonish this guy to stop interfering. And she wouldn't. She approved of it. This is the most bigoted, hateful conduct for a person, let alone a government employee and a judge presiding over my case. It's going to have to be dealt with in the Judiciary Committee, in the Second Circuit. I mean, this judge needs to be run out. She's a racist, she's a bigot, she's a Jew hater. Jessica Clark. I don't think she could give a fair trial to any Jewish litigant. Can I ask you a question?
Yes, sir.
What did you think about this assassination attempt against Donald Trump?
I think it was kind of rigged a little bit. I ain't gonna lie
Like they
you.
tried to kill him, right? The government.
Maybe the government, then again, it might be some inside, like
Inside job,
business
right?
Type stuff, yeah. It's a little
Did that
tricky.
make you sympathetic to Trump? Do you think are you going to vote?
I ain't gonna vote.
Not gonna vote. Fuck all of them, huh?
I
Take
just
it
live my life.
I hear you. Take it easy, man. Are you staying at this hotel? This is a
Yeah,
fancy
it's
new
warm, man.
hotel.
It's nice.
They're going to open a casino in there. Did you know that?
I did.
Yeah, that's going to be like Vegas.
Okay, cool.
Take it easy, man.
Take it easy.
Electric shuffle. This hotel is getting underway. That guy's not going to vote. He's just hanging out at the Virgin Hotel. But anyway, yeah, I mean, it's like, you know, these cops just lie. And then you get into court, and this judge, I don't know what she's for. It's the same judge who gave BLM $13 million for bombing NYPD cars. So I said, well, maybe that's good. Maybe she doesn't like NYPD, and I'm suing NYPD, so that could work. But no, I don't think that's it. She's just the chaos, craziness, and BLM judge. I got one judge that's an FBI judge, that's Valerie Caproni. Now we got this judge as the BLM judge. I've also got a case going, you know, George's mentally ill, wife-swapping, paperclip Nazi brother sued me in New York, Michigan, and Indiana. Virtually identical lawsuit. That right there, facially violative of Rule 11. You can't bring multiple lawsuits for the same stuff in multiple jurisdictions. I like this sumo wrestler. What is this place? Fushimi Market. What'd you guys think of the assassination attempt? Yeah, you got be in the video. You got to say something stupid. Cult Jam. Yeah, I mean, so we've got these, you know, the one judge that I have some faith in, or some hope, is the judge in George's mentally ill brother's case. That's Judge Colt. That was the same judge who presided over Felix Sater's case. And it was pretty interesting because I went to that case, I think more than a week I spent going to that case. And it was interesting to learn a lot about the crimes of Felix Sater and what a deceptive FBI, DIA scumbag he is. All of the social engineers to protect his nonsense. And that social engineering is important. That's why I brought up Orrin Levi. That guy, he tries to avoid me because he knows that I know things about what he's doing that he would rather not talk about. So he only does things when he thinks he can get me arrested. Remember, the last time I encountered him was in Collect Pond Park on the day that Trump was, you know, the ruling was issued. And he had a drink and he was, you know, spitting liquid at me through the straw, which, you know, given that I wasn't allowed into restaurants for a year without a paper over my face and everybody is so afraid of germs while we're all in this together, he should have been arrested for assault for spitting liquid at me. But he always is looking over his shoulder to where the cops are, and then these like bald guys in polyester shirts with cell phones clipped to their belts who are obvious dummies and obvious cops came over, and I said, "Oh, is this your NYPD bodyguard?" Guy had a look of shock on his face, looked across the park, and I said, "There's another one. Of course you guys are all cops." Live stream ended. Crowdsource the Truth 10 was deleted. Had no strikes at all. Smells wonderfully fragrant right here. I like walking on 27th Street. It's like being in the woods. But anyway, it's just interesting to note that this video getting lots of attention aroused Orrin Levi to come in there and make his stupid comment where he's saying, "I'm a nut and it's a migrant shelter." That's the first thing I said to the Army when I walked in there. Is this a migrant shelter? And that's what I presumed. I think what's happening is the city is bringing in tons of migrants. And by the way, remember when we were up with Charles, this was months ago, over at the Roosevelt Hotel. We were up there and I was talking to the cops like, "Hey, you know, what's going on with all these motorcycles? Arrest these guys." The cops were like so aggressive and mean to me, it became obvious that they were protecting whatever was going on there. So think about it. If you own a private security company, don't you want the cops to be overwhelmed so that they have to hire you and that you come in there? You know, these guys are military industrial complex, you know, government overspending profiteers. They should be put in jail.
Oh, where is it?
And I mean, this is the mentality of NYPD in 2024. How can I do as little as possible for 20 years, get my pension, start some kind of idiotic security company that hires a bunch of fat women over there who are unqualified to do anything other than yell and make a phone call, and they didn't even do that. And you get money. So obviously allowing crime to proliferate, they become financially motivated to do that. So, you know, some of these ideas that Trump and even Elon Musk have been talking about, they make a lot of sense. Like if this was your business and you sat down and looked at that, you'd say, wait a minute, fire this guy who's worked out this scheme, get the Army out of the hotel, get the migrant. As a matter of fact, no, this is perfect. You've got the Army at the hotel. Overnight, round up every person in that hotel, stick them in a bus, and drive them back to Mexico and let them walk home. That's the deal. This city is broke. I want my money back. I mean, look at this. Everything is closed. And the only thing that we're getting is crime. I mean, have we heard one story about some migrant from another country who came here and became a doctor and saved somebody's life or started a business? No. I see people laying in the street, rolling around with infants, selling candy and dirty fruit. We're creating a subculture of, homeless, welfare, hotel living. And how is it helping anybody? It's just enriching these ex-cops, friends of Eric Adams. This is a disaster that's got to end. So anyway, yeah, that's nowhere near the courthouse. People have been asking. I didn't say that that was the Army in there to do anything in particular. I just said, what is the Army doing here? Even given their stated purpose, it appears to me, a non-attorney, to be a violation of the Posse Comitatus Act. You might know a lot more about that than I do. I could be wrong. Nothing I ever say on this program is legal advice because I am not an attorney, and no one should ever do anything on the basis of what I say, who I talk to, what I talk about. Nothing I ever say is a call to action apart from asking people to sponsor the show. If you like this type of reporting, if you like watching Crowdsource the Truth, please become a sponsor on odyssey.com/@crowdsourcethetruth.
So we need to make it happen again.
crowdsourcethetruth.substack.com and subscribestar.com and patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth. Was that one of those mini Doberman pinchers? I couldn't tell. That's a funny kind of dog, because a real Doberman pinscher is huge and scary, and the minis are kind of silly. But anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. Have a great day. If you missed last night's episode with John Cullen, you can still catch it on Odyssey and Subscribestar and Patreon and Substack. Huge thank you to everybody who is sponsoring the show. And no, you cannot book a room in the Hotel Walcott. Totally booked. Imagine if you had a 5-year contract for X million dollars, you could sell your company to somebody for the value of that contract. Have a great day, everyone. God, this is a lot of homeless people, more than ever.